Okay, once again, thank you so much for joining us today on the Applied Project 101. This is our third webinar or web social for this fall. We had a very successful one on Thesis 101, and we had another one on COMMs, and this is our third that is going to focus on applied projects as a third option for our graduate students as their final project in the graduate program. Today's guest and speaker, not a guest, she's one of our own, but I guess our speaker is Dr. Jill Yamasaki. Professor Yamasaki has been working at the Valenti School of Communication for the last, please help me, Dr. Yamasaki, how many? 12 years. I knew that it's been a long time. And during this time, she has worked and mentored dozens of students coming through our program. She's one of our most loved faculty members, and lots of you are right now taking her class, and I'm sure you know why. But what's more important is that she's really worked very closely and co-authored and worked very closely with lots of students. Therefore, she has lots of experience to share with you in terms of working with students. The other thing that's relevant to her experience is that she's chaired several applied projects so far. Also, because applied projects as an option are relatively new to our program, it's really amazing that Dr. Yamasaki, who has chaired several, can really speak to these experiences about working with students for this project. So without further ado, I'm going to be giving the floor to Dr. Yamasaki to give us a bit of a presentation about main issues that we need to keep in mind that can inform us taking the decision about taking this route. And then afterwards, we're going to open it up for questions and answers. Take it over, Dr. Yamasaki.
Thank you, Dr. Samai. That was very generous. Yes, as Dr. Samai mentioned, we've only had this project option for maybe 2 or 3 years, so it hasn't been very long. However, we have seen some really good quality projects already, which I will show you today. So I have a PowerPoint. Am I able to share it?
Let me allow you to do this. Okay. Yes. Sorry, I didn't.
Oh no, I should have told you ahead of time.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about my dog. Oh. Okay, can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so today I'm just going to kind of go over what the applied project is, what the kind of guidelines are, what the process is, and then also what your responsibilities are, because if you choose this route, you will have deadlines you need to meet and steps that you need to take in order to successfully complete your project and graduate. So start. So first of all, why choose applied project? I know some of you may know for a fact that you're doing an applied project. Others of you may be kind of wavering. So I just want to kind of say who would be really suited for the applied project. First of all, you need to have the practical skills that enable you to complete a meaningful project. This is not an opportunity for you to learn new skills. This is not an opportunity for you to learn how to make a documentary or make a podcast. This is going to have to be something that you have the skills needed to do the project. This is also a good choice for people who are professionally focused. You're getting your master's to help you in your career, to maybe further your career or kind of jumpstart into a new career. And a project would be a good opportunity for you to showcase your skills. And this is important because people sometimes miss this. You can connect concepts to theory for non-academic audiences. Your project is going to apply theory. You're going to show us kind of communication in action. So you need to be able to have an ability to connect concepts that we're learning in class and theory to a real world situation for non-academic audiences. So if those 3 things apply to you, then you may be a really good candidate for applied project. Okay, so let's look at what a good project is. That's another thing people have lots of questions about. Well, what constitutes an applied project? So here are a few things that I have found kind of help make a good project. First of all, it needs to be beneficial to the organization. Okay. You may do a project at your current organization, but it needs to be something different than your current job, and it needs to do something that will really help add value to the organization. Like I said a few minutes ago, it does need to be driven by theory. You will be expected to connect theory to your project. It needs to be meaningful, and it needs to be substantive. This has to be a project that really takes a commitment and takes time, and you're able to do well. This is not helping an organization with data entry for a few weeks, or scanning things for them. You know, this isn't office work, this isn't clerical work. This is a project that really needs to showcase what you have learned and what you can do. Again, it needs to be within your skill set. Some professors have different abilities than others and may be able to help with some of these different projects. For instance, I would not be able to help you with a strategic communication plan. You would probably want a PR professor for that. So make sure it's within your skill set, and make sure it's within it's something your professor can help you with. And finally, this is your chance to be professional, to be creative, and to be polished. This is expected to be a perfect project, because you're representing the Valenti School of Communication, and you're representing all of our students and alum and future students who want to get a master's degree. So we expect really quality work, which isn't a surprise. We expect that in the classroom too. So, okay. The applied project track is the same as the comps track in that you have to take 30 hours of class, and then you take 3 semesters of applied project or comps at the end. However, applied project is different than comps in that you have to do work before that final semester. So first of all, before you begin, you're going to need to choose an advisor. This needs to be someone that you've worked with. We prefer to work with students that we've had in class before. It should probably be someone in your major, because again, they're going to be able to help you with things that others may not. You need to establish connections with an organization or industry partner. Some of you have connections, some of your professors have connections, so this is a conversation you can have to determine where it would be a good fit for you to work. Just like comps, just like thesis, you need 2 Valenti professors. So you'll need your advisor, and you'll need another Valenti professor, but then you will also need your outside committee member will be someone from the organization. So ideally it'll be your mentor or kind of supervisor at the organization. And you need to submit your completed applied project committee form to the director, who is currently Dr. Samai. So we all know who you're working with, and everyone who is on your committee knows they're on your committee. Okay, so this is before you even begin. Now let's look at the process of what it looks like to get to do an applied project. Okay, unlike comps, you will need to write a proposal and defend that proposal before you can enroll in your final semester of applied project. I don't know, Dr. Samai can answer this later. I don't know if we've gotten an enrollment number yet. So I had to put X's there. But you'll defend your proposal, then you'll enroll in your final semester, you'll do your project, and then you will write a reflection paper about that project, and you will defend your project. We are going to go over these steps now, but I just want you to realize this involves more work than just those 3 credit hours of applied project. And if you don't finish in the semester, then you're going to have to enroll again and do the same credit hours until you get your applied project done. Okay. So let's talk about the proposal first. We do not have a set guide for the proposal. However, all the projects I've seen, either as a chair or a committee member or with professors who have graciously shared student projects with me for this talk today, this is kind of what the proposal looks like. So these are items that will be expected of you in your proposal. First, we want to know who your committee members are. What is the purpose of your project? Who's it going to help? What do you plan to do? Why is it important? The rationale. What's your argument for doing it? Why is this important? Then we have your applied rationale and purpose, but now we need to know how will theory or a communicative model frame and guide your project from beginning to end. So you should go to your advisor with an idea of theory. Your advisor can also help you with that as well. Who's your target population? We want to know about the organization. We want to know about who the organization serves. Deliverables. What do you plan to do? It's not enough to say, I propose to do a project. What is your project going to be? What are the steps? How long is it going to take you? When are you going to check in with your advisor or your organizational member? We'd like to see a detailed plan and a detailed timeline just to ensure that you and your advisor have kind of check-in points. So, you know, you have a plan in place to meet various deadlines rather than just going off. Okay, so that's the proposal. They have ranged anywhere from 6 pages to maybe 10 or 12. Most of them are closer to 6, 7, 8 pages though. So this is something that's more just giving us an idea of what you plan to do. You will defend this with your committee. Like the thesis, the proposal defense is very different than the final defense. A proposal defense, hopefully we'll all be back in person by then. So it'll be your committee and you sitting around the conference table, just talking about what you plan to do and talking about how the theory will guide that. This is our opportunity to say, this looks great. Have you considered this? Or this is our opportunity to say, you are planning on doing an awful lot. What can we take out in order for this to still be a meaningful project, but done in a reasonable amount of time? Okay, so this is just a meeting with your committee where you discuss the proposal. And then once you have cleared your defense, once your committee has said, yes, this is a reasonable project that will be meaningful and is something you are able to do on your own, then you're able to enroll in applied project hours. Okay, so these next couple screens are sample projects. These are projects that have actually been done by Valenti students in the last couple years. And I've given you what they are and then who the client was. So one project, the student created curriculum materials for an interactive HIV/AIDS seminar that the Health Museum offered to high school students who were there on field trips. So she worked with the director of programming at the Health Museum. She had been employed by the Health Museum before, so she kind of had that in. And she created a whole seminar that they actually put into use. It was really cool to see. She did lots of materials, she did activities, and she did a binder for someone else to be able to take over the seminar when she wasn't available. So a how-to for the seminar. The Household Centered Care Program here at the UH College of Medicine worked with a student who created informational materials on health screenings in English and Spanish for a program in which residents of the low-income Hispanic community were trained to become community health workers, who then taught their fellow community members about the importance of health screenings, where they are available to get them, what it involves, how often it needs to happen. So this program tapped the student to create these materials. He did a number of materials. He did them in both English and Spanish with a lot of infographics for that target population. Another one with the UH College of Medicine, this was the Lone Star Circle of Care program, and this student did a strategic communication plan for the Lone Star Circle of Care to offer menopause-specific services. The Lone Star Circle of Care is the UH College of Medicine's kind of community clinic, and they were not offering services for women who were going through menopause and needed specific care. So the student developed a communication plan to do so. This is the last health one, I promise. We'll go into other ones in a second. So this one is with the Houston Methodist Urogynecology Department. This student did campaign materials on pelvic organ prolapse treatment options for women visiting their urogynecologists. So these were women who were aware of what pelvic organ prolapse was, and they needed to know about the different ways that it could be treated. UH College of Medicine programs, both Dr. V and I had connections with those, so that's how the students were able to get in with that. And then Dr. V was also with the Houston Methodist Urogynecology Department for research. So here's an example of where your advisor can help you find a meaningful organization. Okay, a few more. We had one student who worked with BJ Services, an oil and gas company, and she did a strategic campaign with the cross-functional team to roll out the operations alert system. We had a student do an audio documentary as strategic communication of cultural representation, and she did this for Brown Girls Magazine. Someone did a digital video communication plan book for public health in the Asian American community, and this was with the Asian American Health Coalition. And we have a student working on an integrated strategic communication plan for activist organizations, working directly with Black Lives Matter Houston. So I think you can see here, there's a nice variety of clients, and there's a good kind of variety of different types of communication applied projects that may help you start to think, okay, this is kind of what's expected for an applied project. We are in the process of getting these projects deliverables up on the website, so you'll be able to see those as well, but your advisor can also find some of the professors who have done applied projects. I know Dr. Nee, Dr. V, I have, and I think more professors are starting to now that it's an official option. Okay, so I said that in addition to your project, you needed to do a reflection paper. This is a paper that kind of talks about what you did throughout the semester and how well you did it and what you learned and what you had issues with. Okay, so, you know, again, there is no set formula for this paper. However, these are kind of the similar components that we see in all of these papers. First, you know, give us an introduction and a background again. Then you'll discuss each detail of the project, each aspect of the project, and how theory influenced content creation. So if you create 5 separate materials, you're going to have to talk about each of those materials and how theory influenced what you put in those materials, how you created those materials, and why you made the choices you did based on what you have been learning in class over these next 2 years. Did you encounter any barriers? What were your challenges? We want to know. This is an applied project. You are an embodied researcher. You are an embodied person creating a project for an organization. So tell us about it. What went well? What did not go well? What would you have done differently? What was out of your control? Maybe you had to pivot because it's still quarantine, and so you had to do something that was more digital, like on Zoom or Teams. Are there any next steps? Do you plan to continue working with this organization? Does this organization plan to do something with your project, and what would be required to do so? And we want to know, what is your overall experience? Was it positive? What would you do? What would you want to tell future students? Ideally, as more and more students do these projects successfully, we will have a lot of testimonials, we'll have examples. So students really have a solid idea of what will be happening for their applied project in the final semester. Again, this paper varies in length. I have seen, and it'll depend on your advisor, I have seen that's usually approximately like 10 to 12 pages plus references. What we really care about is the discussion, just like we would with a thesis. What did you do? How did you do it? And how did theory influence the content? You will be defending your project and talking about your reflection paper at your final defense. This is a little more formal. We have your committee will be there, your chair, your Valenti committee member, and then your organizational representative. You will be there, preferably, you know, dressed very professionally. You'll put together a presentation for us. You're welcome to invite your family, your friends. We invite fellow students and faculty to attend all of the defenses except comps, which I don't know why people would want to go to that. But this is an opportunity for you to really just kind of show off what you did and showcase. So you'll present it, and then your audience will ask questions, and then we'll ask your audience to leave, and then you will speak with your committee, and that's where we kind of get into the nitty-gritty about your theory and what happened and what the next steps will be. And then that will be it. That's the whole process. You will have completed a meaningful project that you can put on your resume or your vita. It'll be something that we'll be able to show off as with pride. This is what our Valenti students are doing with their master's degree. We will be, like I said, putting them up on the website. So you'll be talking to our communication manager. Right now that's Lariah. She'll be able to put up a testimonial and your materials. And that is it. So I will stop sharing my screen now and we can have a chat. I hope that wasn't too fast, but.
Thank you so much to Dr. Yamasaki for this very thorough presentation of the process. I think it was excellent. Honestly, I learned so much myself just because as a graduate director, new one, I have not had a chance to direct one of these projects yet. So I learned a lot myself about this. So thank you so much. So this is a time to ask questions. And I would like to start with a couple of questions that were filed online on our survey for people who signed up for this class.
Sure.
So Lucy's here actually. Why don't Lucy?
I don't remember the question.
Okay, so the question said I would like to research technology and internal communication.
Oh, okay.
So I guess maybe the question is, would this be a good project, I guess, in terms of thematically speaking? Is that what you?
Yeah, I really want to do something because I'm an internal communications manager. So I really wanted to focus on a project that applies technology and internal communications. But something new within my organization, and I've talked to my manager, and I have the support and backing to do a project at work. So I think with Dr. Yamasaki going through everything, I kind of understand what everybody's looking for. So I feel like that question was pretty much answered.
Thank you. Then Emanuela was online earlier. She says, can one duplicate an applied project in a corporate world? Was your question answered, or would you like to elaborate on that, Emanuela?
I think it was answered, but if there's an elaboration, that would be helpful as well.
So what type of duplication? Doing something exactly with a different context, or?
Yes.
Like taking one of the sample projects and doing it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely, it won't be duplicated exactly. You'll be using different theory, and you'll be talking to your advisor and your organization and planning something out. But yes, like if a strategic communication plan speaks to you, or campaign materials speak to you, then yeah, absolutely, you can choose to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then Christine's speech, she's not here today, but she said, are you able to do a project for your current employer?
You are, as Lucy just demonstrated. You absolutely can work with your current employer. Sometimes that's very advantageous because you already have a relationship with an organization. The only caveat, though, is that you cannot do something that is currently part of your job description. So Lucy talked about wanting to do something that's in her area, but it's something different that she isn't currently doing as a task for her job. So that's fine, but you cannot do something that is already part of your your job performance. So this is your chance to be creative or find something, find a hole in your work process that you'd like to remedy, and just do something different.
And perhaps also to take this opportunity for maybe advancement in your job and showing some new skills you learn in a program that then, puts you forth for promotion and advancement within your job. So I think that's perhaps theoretically speaking or conceptually speaking, that's the whole point of this project, to help you advance in your careers if you already have a career, or maybe help you set some kind of relationships with potential employers after you graduate. So that's another, I guess, benefit of having this particular option.
Yeah.
Any other questions from students today?
So kind of bouncing off what everyone's already said, I currently have a job, and this whole applied project really intrigues me because I think I would want to do something with the current organization I work with. But I guess I have so many ideas in my head. So like, do you suggest that I pick an advisor to work with, in my major, and then kind of talk to them I guess my question is, can I get feedback first, or like, it's just, I think I feel overwhelmed with what theory should I use and how do I even like start? And so would that be something I could, like
your advisor wants you to succeed, and your advisor wants there to be a clear topic and plan also. Makes it easier on us. So absolutely, you should have, you're a second year, so you have working relationships with professors. Absolutely, schedule a meeting, talk about some of your ideas, talk about, I'm assuming you're using your organization, so you have the organization. Yeah, talk about what could this look like if I put this theory into action, or what theory should I use among these? Then yeah, that's a great conversation to have.
Mm-hmm. And most likely when you start a conversation like that, you want to come up with a couple of ideas of your own. You don't want to, faculty most likely will not give you the ideas. You need to come up with an idea or some sort of proposal, what you want to do, and then faculty will help you refine that, focus it, expand it, right? Whatever direction it has to be taken. But the idea needs to be yours, I think, because that's what intellectual ownership of the project means. It has to be your idea.
And I would also add, while you are clarifying your idea with your professor, you should also be able to articulate some theories that could potentially be beneficial. So if you're going to go to, Dr. Zhao or myself and want to do something in health comm, you should be able to talk about a couple theories, and we can help you hone in on which theory may be more advantageous for your particular project. But as Dr. Samai said, don't come in, I don't really know where to start. I don't know what theory I should use. Approach them with, some ideas and say, these are my ideas. This is what I like to do. Can you help me refine them?
Mm-hmm. And some of these ideas sometimes can come from class projects you've done in the past. For example, in some of the classes, you are required to do a research proposal. In others, you're required to do a full paper. So think about, as a second year student, think about some things you've done already and you love and you're passionate about that could be useful as ideas to then, I guess, expand on, follow up with this project. So that's kind of, I guess, what should stimulate your thinking about what you're passionate about in terms of what aspects of the projects, but also theories that you can work with as well. You do not want to reinvent the wheel, I think, at this point, right? You don't want to start from scratch completely. That's not smart. And we don't want you to do that. We want you to be masters in that particular field, which means by the time you pick up this project, you already have background in this particular area or field, and you are just putting that cherry on top of the cake in terms of your mastery of this particular area, so to speak.
I will say too, don't be discouraged if you don't have a good organization in mind that you have a relationship with. Your faculty, we have a lot of community connections. We can kind of help introduce you to a couple people. So if you're not currently working with an organization, or you want to do like a media or journalism project, but you're not sure who would be able to help you with that, talk to your advisor also, because we can help if we know what the, you know, what you're looking for.
Mhm. Currently, we also have a graduate, actually our graduate advisor, Deborah Reyes. She also serves as an internship point of reference. So she mostly works with undergraduate students, but sometimes she has requests about internship opportunities also for graduate students. So that should be also another person in terms of, if you are looking for opportunities or organizations, she can also help you in terms of identifying organizations in the community who are looking for people. So that would be another way to match you up with, I guess, specific organizations.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Other questions?
Short and sweet.
Any other questions with regard? Take advantage of Dr. Yamasaki while she's here. I know lots of you are taking her class, so but this is, I think, the place and the time to ask any relevant questions. And I'm sure if you have a question, other of your colleagues might be interested in the same. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's give a big hands up to Dr. Yamasaki for this presentation and answering all the questions. And I'm going to stop now the recording.